The BFM Resource Centre, presented to you by Alliance Bank. It's banking made personal.
BFM 89.9, good afternoon. It's time for Resource Centre. There's more money on the table if you've got a great business idea. Do you have what it takes to make it a success? And I'm here with Nazrin Hassan, not Hussain as I called him earlier, from Cradle Investment, and we're talking about the CIP 500 grant and how they aim to take worthy businesses into commercialization. So welcome back, Nazrin.
Now, good to be back, Rita.
We've talked about this previously, and it's always good to have a refresher on what CIP 500 is all about.
Okay, the CIP 500 is a commercialization fund for technology prototypes, in short. So let's say if you've either developed a prototype or proof of concept and you're looking for monies to go to market to commercialize that particular product, we can provide you the funding up till 500,000 ringgit.
And okay, now since the grant was open last year?
The grant was launched last year,
right.
But the first batch of applications first batch closing that we've had for the CIP 500 was in January this year.
All right, and how many nominations have you received?
Overall, we've received over more than 150 plus applications currently, and we've approved about 11 proposals.
Is that good, 150?
I think ratio-wise has been good, so that shows the quality of the ideas that has been submitted so far.
Okay, so you've closed 11. Now, were they, in the over 100 applications that you got, were there any glaring things missing in the applications? And I think this is just the idea that people want to apply. What would be lacking? Would it be more ideas? Was it presentation skills? Was it business know-how? What was glaringly missing?
Well, I think not much has changed from our former product, CIP Catalyst, which funded technology prototypes. Most of the technology entrepreneurs who submit their ideas still focus perhaps a little too much on the technology, and too little on the business side. That's what we've been seeing on the quality of applications. Having said that, however, the top 10 to 20% of the ideas submitted, we have found has been of higher quality than the ideas that had been submitted to us under the CIP Catalyst.
Right.
Yeah. So in that sense, we know that there's a large pool of good quality technology ideas out there, and with a larger funding like 500,000 ringgit offered to them, we see more of these ideas surfacing out and applying to us.
All right.
So that's definitely a good sign.
Right. It's a good sign. So, but is what you see missing is still that bit where great idea, but turning that into something that's sort of sellable and workable in the business world.
There's still very broad claims of how they're going to commercialize it, without the substantiation, without the partnerships, without the proper planning or competitive analysis being done. I think I mentioned this before in the last few programs, I think the last 3-4 programs that I've been on here. I think as far as the culture of business planning is concerned in Malaysia, it's still very weak. We have a very verbal business culture where you sit down with someone over teh tarik and then and then can be done, you sort out the details later. Where else, in the technology business, when investors want to put in their money, or even agencies such as ourselves, what we want to know is that you've done a fair bit of thinking and forward planning, and and are very realistic as to what your competitive challenges are, and I think in that sense, perhaps the focus next year, since the budget is coming, perhaps the focus next year that the government may want to look at is human capital development. How do we make better quality entrepreneurs?
Okay. Better quality entrepreneurs, all right. And you're saying that 11 have been approved?
Yes.
11 approved. So,
just to give it a context, 11 may seem small, but we are only planning to fund about 30 this year. So we've achieved about 11. And we expect to achieve up till 30 ideas funded till the end of the year.
By the end of the year, so we are expecting, we want more applications, obviously.
Yes, definitely.
All right, and so from those that have been approved, who are these recipients and what are the businesses all about?
Okay, there's about 11 of them. Maybe I'll give an example of about 3 of them. Yeah, just to give a spectrum of what are the sort of technologies that we've been funding. One is called, there's a company called CK AgriFeed, where they convert agricultural waste into value-added products. And one of it is animal feed for the livestock industry. Their technology is based on microbial-based feeds that are practical, cost-effective, and environmentally safe. Currently, they're using the fermentation of oil palm fronds with probiotic added lactobacillus strains developed in-house to increase the protein content. Basically, it's a technology to increase the protein content in animal feeds.
So there's biotechnology involved in that.
Yes, biotechnology, and you probably it can probably be categorized under green because it recycles agricultural waste. So nothing ever really goes to waste. And it comes back as resources where, with the added bacterial technology which they have, they can add the protein content within the animal feeds. So it looks promising. This is one of the companies that we funded. The second one is a company that we've started funding since he was developing his prototype. The guy's name is Jeffrey Tan. He's under this company called Superseed. And they provide a hosted contact center software and on-demand workforce for SMEs. What it is basically a virtual contact center software where they can manage contact center capacity elastically and cost-effectively by a virtual contact center platform and over VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. And then the contact center agents can work from anytime and anywhere. It can be housewives, it can be students, provided that they have a standard PC and broadband internet connection. So this allows for the demand to go up and down without perhaps SMEs having to recruit their own internal contact center staff. They can depend on an external agency.
It can be outsourced.
It can be outsourced, and the capacity can be managed elastically as and when they need it. By what volume they need it. Okay, so you've seen one company in the green tech and biotech life sciences space. This one is more on the software side. The other sort of company that we fund, there's this company called FactSoft, which does a web-based quality control and statistical process control software system that manages all stages of the quality control process cycle, from incoming material to process manufacturing to outgoing products. Okay, so one of the things that it does is it automates data collection from the different measuring equipment, let's say in a manufacturing environment, and through a special driver written by FactSoft, they can put it in with minimal customization. So, and this ensures that you can minimize goods return customer claims by about 10%, and minimize time, cost, and effort in data collection by about 30%, and minimize QC control personnel by about 40%.
Okay, so this is very useful in the manufacturing industry.
Right. So I've shown the spectrum there of the sort of technologies that we fund, be it in the manufacturing space or in the software space or in the green tech, biotech, life sciences space.
All right, I'm here with Nazrin Hassan from Cradle Investment, and we'll talk about how you can apply for the CIP 500 grant, which goes up to 150,000 ringgit, 500,000 ringgit.
150,000 for the prototype funding and 500,000 ringgit for the commercialization funding.
All right, in just a moment. This is Resource Center brought to you by Alliance Bank, BFM 89.9.